We acknowledge the significant number of shares of common stock that could be issued as a result of the exchange agreement, but we believe this is necessary to preserve cash, reduce our financial obligations, and better position the company to survive a potentially prolonged crypto market downturn. So that, I saw that first thing this morning, and my instinctual reaction was to think, thank goodness that this wasn't a press release announcing that, hey, due to unforeseen circumstances, we, blew the company up, so to speak, and we're going bankrupt. So, as I've shared very openly and very candidly, my gamble is predicated first and foremost on the company not going out of business, right? So, to the extent Stronghold is staying in business, that's great news. I absolutely agree, okay, with what has taken place. The reason why is because, I think it's almost conservative to say, hey, we might have a prolonged, downturn in the, crypto market. The reality is we may be facing something of a depression in the crypto marketplace, not just a crypto winter, but a crypto ice age. And I don't say that to be dramatic or to be unconstructive or to simply be negative. What I'm really trying to express is the fact that, I don't think we want to gamble our future on an assumption that the market's going to just pivot. Bitcoin's going to blast off to $250,000, $300,000, $400,000, dollars per coin. Everything's going to be awesome. I think that type of assumption could be catastrophic. We're going to be facing a halving at the very beginning of 2024. That by itself is a very, very destructive process, especially if you've invested tens upon tens upon tens of millions of dollars in mining equipment, Bitcoin mining equipment, that's all of a sudden only producing about half of what it had been producing prior to the halving. So, we're facing some significant headwinds, not to mention the fact that we continue to operate in a very high interest rate environment, at least here in the United States. It doesn't appear as if that, high interest rate environment is going to go away anytime soon. And making matters potentially worse is the fact that although by some measures, the United States economy probably has been in something of a recession since the beginning of 2022, with the exception being Q3 2022, when GDP GDP actually grew versus shrinking in Q1 and Q2, which generally, typically, that's sort of like the definition of a recession. Usually, when you have two quarters back to back where GDP growth is non-existent, right? It's a contraction. So if we go into something that resembles a more traditional recession in 2023, where there's a significant dislocation in the labor market and consumer sentiment really starts to sour, these are all headwinds for our company. Now, the good news is, we sell a product ultimately. We produce a product that's in high demand. Electricity is as fundamental to modern life as the air we breathe. So that's awesome. I'm so grateful that we're not selling some gizmo or gadget or some fashionable T-shirts or whatever else, right? That could be very fickle to consumer sentiment. I mean, when it comes to electricity, everybody pretty much needs electricity. Now, the electricity markets can be pretty wild and unpredictable, so that's its own sort of set of variables that we need to contend with. Luckily, the electricity we produce, we can not only sell it to the grid, but we can also use it to mine Bitcoin. And there are going to be times, and we've seen that recently, where grid prices have been so low, right? It's amazing, right? They were so high in late December. Now they've generally been kind of on the lower side. But what we can do is import electricity for, say, $15, $20 a megawatt hour, $25 a megawatt hour, hell, even $30 a megawatt hour. That's still lower than our cost to produce electricity. We can import that electricity and use that electricity to mine Bitcoin. And we can do so profitably with a nice margin, especially when Bitcoin, depending on the hash rate, depending on the price per coin, I've seen instances where it's around the equivalent of $60 to $65 a megawatt hour. So imagine a situation where you could import electricity for $20 a megawatt hour, turn around and then use that electricity to mine Bitcoin for approximately $60 to $65 a megawatt hour. That's a very, very compelling situation. But as it relates to today, I am thrilled that we have structured a deal that eliminates a substantial portion of our debt. It also, I believe, gives us a lot more flexibility from an operational standpoint to be able to not only preserve our cash, but to utilize it towards a more productive end. Some amount of dilution is preferable to dissolution as a going concern. So that's good. And all in all, I do believe that we are going to have some interesting announcements in the weeks and months ahead, which are going to have a very material impact on on the way in which the market perceives us. Let's phrase it that way. Okay, that's all for now.